Fox News may be making a shift toward the left, following a number of moves now getting backlash from the conservative right. The more moderate and at times anti-Trump Paul Ryan now sits on the board of directors at Fox Corporation. Former Democratic Party chairwoman Donna Brazile has been hired on at Fox News. Howard Schultz, the billionaire with a promise to beat President Trump in 2020, will take part in a town hall hosted by Fox. And popular host Judge Jeanine has been temporarily removed from the airwaves after comments made about controversial Democrat Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Could they be driving away some longtime conservative viewers? Earlier, I spoke with longtime former Fox News host Bill O'Reilly about what's currently happening at Fox and about the findings from the Mueller report. Bill O'Reilly, as always, thanks for joining me.
My pleasure, Patrick.
All right, I want to touch on some recent decisions made by Fox that are getting some backlash right now in just a few moments. But first, following the first reports Friday, when that Mueller report was sent over to William Barr, the Attorney General, you tweeted that Democrats really need to rethink their presentation to the American people. Did President Trump just win the re-election in 2020? Will Republicans and independents outside of his unwavering base, will they make the Democrats pay in 2020 based on these findings?
I don't think so. I don't think it's going to extend into Election Day. It's all going to depend on who runs against President Trump. So Americans know that the anti-Trump movement, the hate Trump people are there. And I don't think there's anybody going to deny that. And the media, the national media, is a large part of that hate Trump movement. So they know that. But I think when it comes down to pulling the lever, it's going to be the economy. How well am I doing? How well do I believe the country is functioning? Rather than a Mueller report, which by then will be, almost 2 years old. So I think that this has helped President Trump.
Right.
But I don't think it's going to be the decider.
All right, so the Mueller report, not the decider, but Democrats on the Hill, the Southern District of New York, the New York State Attorney General's office, all other entities outside of the Mueller team that are now investigating and sort of continuing down these rabbit holes, investigating the Trump Organization, the Trump Foundation, the Trump campaign, the Trump inauguration team. I could go on and on, as you're aware. But how do these findings from Friday and this weekend, how does this lack of evidence change those investigations? Is the political patience for those investigations diminished now?
Yes. You see it in the Washington Post editorial. You see it in some of the far-left bomb throwers saying, whoa, you better be careful, because it does get to the point of a Brett Kavanaugh where the American public will perceive it as being an unfair attack based on hatred and vitriol. So, yes. I don't expect Congress to do much. Nadler and Schiff will blow and huff and puff. But Pelosi don't want any part of this. Neither does Schumer in the Senate. They want to run their candidate and hope they can win outright, and they don't want this. So they'll prevail. As far as the legal authorities are concerned, I can't imagine the Justice Department and Attorney General Barr sanctioning the U.S. Attorney in Manhattan to go on some kind of wild goose chase. I can't imagine that. There would have to be very solid evidence. As far as the state of New York concerned, yeah, the state apparatus is far left. It hates Trump. It'll try to cause as much trouble for Trump as possible.
Well, and last one on this topic, Bill, Kellyanne Conway said this morning that Adam Schiff should resign. We've heard the president say that those who were responsible for starting all of this in the first place should be targeted. What would that look like in your mind going into 2020? What does all of that look like?
Well, Schiff is not going to resign. Anybody who follows politics in a fair manner knows he's a hatchet man. That's what he is. Adam Schiff is a hatchet man. But he's not going to resign. He'll sit up there and he'll huff and puff, and the zealots may pay attention to him, but nobody else will. His credibility is finished. He convicted Trump. He said outright that he colluded with the Russians. Obviously, Schiff is not an honest individual. So I don't expect him to be a major force in this country going forward. He's lost all credibility.
Right.
On the wider issue that you asked about, Patrick, you're always going to have this partisan hatred. This is what our country has devolved into. So that's not going to go away.
All right. Well, and Adam Schiff, of course, talking about clear evidence for quite some time now. On this, go ahead, Bill.
No, look, he's a parody now.
Right.
That's who he is. He's a parody.
Well, on this next topic, I want to start general and then dig into a couple of recent newsy items. In your mind, what's going on at Fox right now? Are they shifting?
Well, they have a boycott situation. I don't think there's an organized cabal in Fox News and management that says, oh, let's go left. I'm not there. I've been there for 2 years. But what I do know is that the boycotts from the far left, Media Matters, Move On, all of these horrible organizations that are in business to hurt people with whom they disagree, have been effective in boycotting the Fox News channel. And they've lost a lot of money.
Right.
So what I believe is happening, and I don't have access to people, Patrick, but I know the organization. I worked there more than 20 years, is that in order to make the sponsors more comfortable, that Fox is trying to get out any kind of real strong, hard right presentation. They want to de-emphasize the hard right presentation to make the sponsors feel that, oh, we're not in any place where we can get boycotted. It's all about the boycotts, which is really a horrible thing in this country because of freedom of speech.
Well, were you surprised to see their reaction to Judge Jeanine after those remarks about Congresswoman Ilhan Omar? Was that a typical reaction in your mind, or was that slightly surprising?
I was surprised. I mean, I looked at the transcript, and it looked like Judge Pirro was asking questions about the Congresswoman. I mean, that's what commentators do. Now, Judge Pirro doesn't approve of Congressman Omar. There's no doubt about it. But when I was on the air, I didn't approve of a lot of politicians. I get paid to give my opinion, so does she. So I was surprised, and I know Jeanine, and I know she was hurt by it. But look, corporations are corporations. They do stuff like this all the time.
Well, and no cabal to make an effort to move toward the center or toward the left. But the more moderate, centrist, at times anti-Trump Paul Ryan, now sitting on the board of directors at Fox Corporation, put yourself in one of President Trump's most loyal supporters, that unwavering base. What goes through your mind as Paul Ryan joins the board there? Are you worried at all over the next 2 years?
I'm not. No. I think Paul Ryan's a very bright individual. The News Corporation that owns newspapers across the country, and Fox News is owned by 21st Century. It's complicated, but they want a guy like that because he can go to Washington and lobby. He's got information flow coming. I don't think that means anything. I really don't. I don't think Paul Ryan's a zealot. I don't think he approved of Donald Trump. But many, many establishment politicians didn't approve of President Trump.
All right, and one more. I want to touch on your book, but I want to ask you this. Is Fox leaving, should they be worried that they might leave the door cracked a little bit for another network to step in with a little more reliable conservative approach? Are they in danger?
All cable news operations are losing audience, particularly 25 to 54. You got to be really good, particularly in prime time, to hold audience. I mean, I was number one for 16 years, and I worked my butt off to be there and to stay there. If you are not giving the audience information that they trust, if you are not entertaining as well as informing, you're going to lose. And all three cable networks are losing viewers. And I expect that to continue.
All right. Well, if you could tell our viewers about your new book. It's called The United States of Trump: How the President Really Sees America. I know it comes out in September. Before you answer that, though, in just a few words, how does President Trump see America now as compared to before he was president? And even how does he see the world, America now that the Mueller report has been released? Is this all changing your approach to this work of yours?
No, my book is a history book about how Donald Trump, against every odd imaginable, could become president of the United States. So it started with his grandfather, and I trace it all the way up to right now, today. I can't tell you I know, but I don't want to tell you, Patrick, how his opinion of America has changed since he was reelected, because I want you to buy the book. Actually, I'll send you a free one.
I appreciate that.
But it is a fascinating study. As you know, I write history, all right? We have 17 million copies of my history books in print. The most successful historical book series of all time. And I'm hoping that the United States of Trump will be number one, and Killing the SS will be number two, because that's what happened with Killing Lincoln and Killing Kennedy. Kennedy was number one when it came out, and Killing Lincoln was two. That had never happened before. I'm hoping the same thing happens because SS is such a big hit. But anyway, Donald Trump's opinion of his country has changed since he has been in the Oval Office. And I was fortunate enough to get an interview with him on Air Force One a few weeks ago, and I nailed it all down. I'm about 3/4 of the way through the book. I'm writing my butt off, about 2,000 words a day. I'm going to hand it in the end of May. It should come out September 17th.
All right, last one. No anonymous sources is what you say when putting this book together.
No anonymous sources.
Without giving too much away, who can we expect to hear from in this book?
Well, you're going to hear from his family. You're going to hear loud and clear from me. I've known him for 30 years. You're going to hear from people on the scene when things happened to him that mattered, in the sense that blew up into big headlines. I'm reporting and writing the book. I get the best researchers in the world, but here's what's interesting. When the research comes to me, Patrick, 90% of it is false. It's lies. It didn't happen. It's fabricated. And I have to go out then and find and track down people who are actually in the room when certain things happen. And that is just like, it's fun in a way, so I can write a book that's going to be 100% truthful, and everybody talking is going to be identified, which will throw the mainstream media into a panic. Whoa, wait a minute. O'Reilly's actually telling us who's saying these things? But it's hard work.
Right.
Real hard work. But I think it'll be worth it.
A lot of hard work that you're accustomed to, of course. It's called The United States of Trump: How the President Really Sees America. It comes out in September. Of course, go to BillO'Reilly.com for more information on that. Author, best-selling author, host of No Spin News, Bill O'Reilly, as always, we appreciate your time, sir.
Appreciate you having me in. Thanks, Patrick.
Thanks, Bill.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.